No matter what, until this race is won, I will stand my ground.
Well, welcome, friends, to At the Table. We're so glad you're here. We are beginning a new series that Stefan introduced us to last week. And by the way, this is Stefan and Jay. Stefan serves as one of the pastors of Front Street, as do I. And Jay is kind of like adjunct staff. He's our videographer and guru, and also an ordained elder in the United Methodist Church. So he's also a pastor, just serving in a different way. And so this year we are looking at this question, one word question, why, with everything we do. And Stefan just helped us do 6 weeks of why church. And so now we're changing the trajectory a little bit and going a little bit more foundational. And the why question is, why God? And there are multiple questions about why God. And so why God aren't you taking up for me? Or why aren't you fixing this? Or those sorts of things.
Yeah. All the things that I think just about everybody has wrestled with. Well, everybody hasn't wrestled with all of these questions,
right.
But I think everybody has wrestled with at least one of these questions. The first question that we have is, why, God, do people do horrible things? That's the first question. You really started out with an easy one. I'm glad that you did that.
Yeah, I just thought we'd start out easy. We were talking just a few minutes ago, and there is something that God has given us that I think that we often push to the sidelines until it works for us, and that is choice.
Okay.
Everything that someone does to harm someone else, someone has made a choice to do so.
And every time someone steps in and helps someone else, someone has made a choice to do so.
That's right. So the question begins, the question that I had to wrestle with is, wouldn't it be better if people didn't have the choice to,
or if you made them not quite as broad, the possibilities not as
you can make
catastrophic.
a choice within this.
Right.
But
you can choose what you have for lunch today.
Yeah, that's right, and dinner tonight. But beyond that, no. So you really get into that point of, there are mental health issues. Certainly, we all aware of that, and that's a different question. Why God?
Right. Yeah.
But this question of why do others harm each other? And even Christians harming Christians.
Absolutely.
And sometimes to devastating results. How is that possible? Well, part of the rudimentary understanding of that is, as we just mentioned, as we were talking earlier, is this idea of choice. What if God created us where we had no choice?
Hard to even imagine.
Yeah,
would you choose the words you would even say?
I don't know that I could choose that option. Yeah.
But really, when you think about it, is that what we would prefer?
It's what we would prefer is limited choice on our terms when it seems like it would work out best for everything, and that's absurd.
Or if the choice was my opinion or my idea,
I know this is good for everybody, so I'll choose this, and they won't be able to choose.
Yeah.
Right.
And you may be right.
Yes, you totally.
However, you can't make my choice.
Really, I think underneath it, the most profound question is why God is choice so powerful.
Yeah.
That's not the best version of the question.
No, I hear you.
Because that's what we're bumping up against, like the severity of the consequences of choice. They're either incredible or awful. Jesus' choice to give his life is absolutely incredible. Sure. What comes from that?
Yes, and also God the Father giving up their son.
Yeah, right.
His son, their son.
Those are great questions. I think those are great things to wrestle with. But I'm going to keep you guys on this question. Why do people do horrible things? So let's use a case study for a second.
Yeah.
In the Jesus chose to give up his life for our salvation. Wonderful, beautiful. Why did the people at that time choose to cause that horrific act to Jesus? What was the purpose? What were they getting out of it? What was their relationship to it? Those are our why questions.
Well, it seems to me when you think about it in those terms, you think about we all can feel threatened.
That's what it is.
Our way of life, our understanding of what is right.
Our ability to choose is now being threatened by something someone else is doing.
Yeah.
I think it really is that.
And indeed, I think the personhood of Jesus threatened everything that the people of power, the people that had their religious understanding
and
of
it
the way it
challenged
worked.
why you chose what you chose. It challenges, to this
Went to the
day,
very
challenges
core.
why you choose what you choose.
Yes.
People do bad things partially to preserve their ability to choose, but also to expand the choices that they have.
Probably so.
Right?
Yeah.
Pete Maravich, famous. Yeah, did you have a thought?
Go ahead. Go
Pete
ahead with
Maravich,
Pete.
famous basketball coach, basketball player. Look him up. He was the Steph Curry long before there was Steph Curry. Big time.
Pistol Pete.
And played high school basketball abroad.
Broughton
North
High
Carolina.
School
They
in
went to
Raleigh.
LSU.
Oh, yeah.
He still has the record for most points scored in the NCAA history in only 3 seasons and no three-point line. By far, the record. So here's the thought. Pete Maravich became a Christian before he died. Loved Jesus before he died. But he had this long period where he really struggled and wrestled. And he used to carry around $5,000 cash in his pocket.
Wow.
But like this is in like the 70s.
So that was
70s,
$20,000.
Yeah, like he carried around $5,000 cash so that he could choose to do anything he wanted to do at any point in time. But he couldn't find what he ultimately wanted. He couldn't get himself until Jesus met him one night. No, I mean it's a story you can read online.
Yeah.
Until the thing he ultimately wanted to choose came to him. So some of our why we'll do horrible things is because we want to expand our options, the things we can choose. I don't want just the same sandwich every day for lunch. I want to be so rich I can have any meal at any time, at any amount, anywhere, now. Right? Like so I really do think that but I think if we explored that, that's the core. I'm saying nobody has to agree. I think that's the core of our real struggles with what we're willing to do to other people, because that's how valuable choice is.
And that's our choice. I think where we get into kind of harmful places is when I think my choice should determine yours.
Right now,
And I'm right. And that's the way it should be.
Right. I think that's where it starts to go bad.
That's where it starts to go bad, is when I think my opinion, my choice is the right choice.
And look, it might be.
Yeah, it might be.
But it takes a dark turn.
Yeah.
The best choice takes a dark turn when you begin to remove others' choice.
Yes.
Let's go to another example, because I think the Jesus example is a good one. I also think that toddlers are a really good one too.
Now you have those.
I
so,
have
Man.
toddlers.
So
that's fresh.
remind those of us who no
Yeah.
longer have toddlers.
So I love my toddlers,
Wow.
and my girls are wonderful, but they do silly things. When you get to it, when you put a bunch of toddlers in the room, why do some of those kids act out and they're mean to their friends, or they bite, or they hit, or they steal toys, or whatever? Why is that the easiest form of relationship that they're going for?
Because they think they can, doing that, hopefully gets their way or gets what they want.
Well, what is that?
Like so if a kid fights over a toy, they then get to choose whether they play with that toy or not.
And
but
so
if you have the toy, I don't get to choose whether I play with that toy.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Like in the biggest of big ways, that's a fundamental issue.
Because I think what you guys have already mentioned a number of times through here, and I want to hone in and then expand it a little bit, is that why people do horrible things often comes down to, or revolves around, something is missing in that person's life. That there's security, there's love, there's authority in their own life, or whatever it is. And so reaching out in drastic measures is often the choice. And so what are some of those other basic needs that, and you can think about it again with the toddlers, that they're searching for as they're doing horrible things to one another?
Well, I want my security. I want when I want to have my own little field day, I can have my own little field day. I can do that. I don't want to be afraid of something.
Yeah.
So all of those things, the security, the fear, feeling like I need to be loved, feeling like that you care for me, and I want that. I want to protect that.
I've heard it said 3 things. I heard 2 of them in that.
Yeah, go ahead.
One is we will all want to be able to love and be loved.
Yes.
And we all want security.
Yes.
And the third one is we want significance.
Yes.
So I remember hearing that in a talk in college at the Fellowship of Christian Athletes group in college. We all love significance and security, and those, when they get threatened in some way,
we burr up.
Yeah,
We
we
get-
really, we it becomes a fight or flight kind of thing.
And I think a significance, I'm going to adjust that one just a little
Yeah.
bit, because I think some people may take that as fame or fortune or something.
Right. No,
I
no,
think
no, right.
significance might be as easy as attention.
Yeah,
And
right.
I think that's important as well. And people need to be attended to.
To be able to impact the world in a way that blesses the world. Do you know?
The
you know
world
what
or your world.
I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah. Your immediate world or larger.
And when the significance of that is, particularly in Christendom, uniquely in Christendom, we do protect that. Matter of fact, Christendom, as my understanding of theology, provides that for all of us.
It already. It is a framework
It
for
is
those.
a framework for that, and yet so many times, if I want to be judgmental, well, you don't do that. But yeah, when you get at the core, the Christ figure gives you security, significance, unconditional love. And that's what we proclaim. It's what we're called to do.
Absolutely.
And Erwin McManus says what happens is when someone loses a sense that they have or could have one of those, that's when we really start. That's when we really start. A heart starts to go dark. When you lose one of those, it starts to go dark. You lose two of those.
Oh.
You lose the sense that there's love in the world. You lose the sense that you're significant in any way.
Yeah.
Woo. Now you're talking about people doing really dark stuff. Right? And so it's when choice plays into all those. But when those get threatened,
Yeah.
I think that's what happens. And so that's what we're trying to do. You're saying that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to unthreaten those things.
That's right.
So
That's right.
I want to take this idea, why do people do horrible things? At least part of it is that there is something that is missing in that person's life that they are reaching after in drastic and likely unacceptable ways as far as the rest of society is concerned, and as far as
feels
God's
threatened.
Yes.
Correct. So I really love this conversation. It's wonderful for me. These are conversations that I think lots of people have had, and maybe this will give us not a way to act against people who are doing horrible things, but I hope very much so that it shows us an opportunity to show compassion towards people who are doing horrible things. And that's one of the things that Jesus talks about, right? Is to love your enemies. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
Doesn't necessarily mean excuse behaviors.
Right. Love.
Well,
Yeah, but it means
it means to love your enemies. I don't think
right.
Jesus put any ...
No,
buts
right.
in that. I think it was
No.
just periods.
Yeah.
Just love your enemies.
And so in that notion, for us to understand that this idea of people doing horrible things has a lot to do with how we have free choice in the world, and how we have to
Is there a more powerful choice than the choice to love your enemies?
well, right, it's the harder choice, and that means for us too, for the people that do horrible things, for us in the church, or for us even outside the church, to look at those people and think horribly about them. Well, Jesus would say, well, that's still not good either. And so it takes all of us, internally and externally, making choices for the benefit of ourselves and of others, and maybe of others and then of ourselves.
sometimes this Christian stuff is really hard work.
Yeah, a little bit.
Can be a little tense.
You said it.
Yeah.
Cause some tension, internal tension.
Hey,
And I get it.
listen, I know that you probably feel as though there's a couple missing pieces to this conversation. We're
Yes.
not done with it. There's plenty of weeks to come.
Look, this is a years long
It's a-
conversation
exactly.
crammed into 15 minutes
Yes.
here.
So it maybe it's love, maybe it's peace, maybe it's just that we didn't get to the right point that you were looking for. That's okay. We've got more questions to come, not only that we've set up, but also you've set up on that vision board. Those are coming to be talked about, to have a conversation about, and for you to continue having a conversation about them too, as we all work on this. So join us next week. We'll tell you a little bit about where we are too. See ya.